It's Morning Edition from NPR News. I'm Steve Inskeep.
And I'm Michelle Martin.
It is 6:50 and you're listening to Morning Edition on WNYC. Marketplace Morning Report is next. And then later on Morning Edition, former Vice President Mike Pence has been awarded the John Fitzgerald Kennedy Profile in Courage Award. The honor was given to him for certifying the 2020 presidential election after rioters attacked the Capitol on January 6, 2021. We'll have more on that in about 15 minutes. Near 60 degrees right now with clouds out there, still some fog and some mist. Morning showers likely and possibly a thunderstorm. A high near 64, winds gusting up to 20 miles an hour. We don't cool off all that much tonight with showers and possibly a storm. And then tomorrow, showers and possibly a storm, a high in the mid-60s. It's 6:51.
WNYC support comes from Measure of America, the nonprofit behind Data2Go.NYC, a public mapping and data tool that lets New Yorkers visualize well-being across the city's 5 boroughs and its nearly 200 distinct neighborhoods. More at Data2Go.NYC.
Artist Jesse Crimes spent 6 years in prison. Now he is the co-founder of the Center for Art and Advocacy in Brooklyn, a nonprofit that helps artists who were incarcerated. Crimes joins us to discuss his practice and his exhibition on display at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Plus, Isabel Allende on her new novel and actor Lily Taylor on the crossovers between her day job and birding. I'm Allison Stewart. Join us for all of it, weekdays at noon on WNYC.
The Oracle of Omaha is bowing out.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Progressive Insurance. On the road and at home, customers can simplify their insurance needs and protect what's important by bundling home and auto with Progressive Insurance. Learn more about Progressive and bundling at progressive.com.
From Marketplace, I'm Sabri Benishore, in for David Brancaccio. Warren Buffett is stepping down as head of Berkshire Hathaway after 60 years.
The time has arrived where Greg should become the chief executive officer of the company at year end.
That was the legendary investor himself making the announcement at Berkshire Hathaway's annual shareholder meeting in Omaha, Nebraska. The Greg he mentions is Vice Chairman Greg Abel, who would need approval from Berkshire's board.
I would still hang around and could conceivably be useful in a few cases.
Marketplace's Nancy Marshall-Genzer has more.
The 94-year-old Buffett will still be chairman of Berkshire Hathaway, but he says Greg Abel will have the final word on investment decisions and company operations. Buffett says he plans to keep his money in Berkshire and has no intention of selling his shares, pledging to, quote, give it away eventually. Before his retirement announcement, Buffett talked about the global economy, warning that President Trump's trade war could cause worldwide instability, and adding that trade should not be a weapon. Buffett said there should be trade balance between countries, but Trump was taking the wrong approach. Buffett also tried to reassure investors worried about market volatility, saying there's no comparison between the recent drop and the market crash at the start of the Great Depression. I'm Nancy Marshall-Genzer for Marketplace.
All right, let's do the numbers. Dow, S&P, and NASDAQ futures are all down about in the 0.6 to a full percent range, with Dow futures down 262 points. The yield on the 10-year Treasury is 4.32%. And OPEC Plus, that's the oil cartel, plus a few other oil-producing countries, well, it adjusts production of oil to manipulate global oil prices. That is what cartels do. Often, its members lower the supply of global oil to push prices up, and then they all make more money. But what happens when a member doesn't go along? Iraq and Kazakhstan didn't cut their production as they were supposed to, while everyone else did, so they made even more money. Well, now they're getting punished, analysts say. OPEC Plus got together over the weekend and decided everyone would increase the supply of oil, driving down prices. West Texas Intermediate is, sure enough, down about 1.3%.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Bitwarden Password Manager, helping to secure personal logins during every career shift, fresh start, or new opportunity. Learn more at bitwarden.com. And by Mercury. Mercury brings together banking, credit cards, and financial software to help businesses manage their finances. Learn more at mercury.com.
We return now to our Odd Job series. What's that like? A few weeks ago, we heard from an oyster farmer based in Massachusetts, and we are sticking with our aquatic theme here. Today, we learn what it's like to work in aquatic animal medicine. Dr. Kara Field works at the Marine Mammal Center. That is a teaching hospital located on the California coast.
My name is Dr. Kara Field, and I am the Director of Conservation Medicine at the Marine Mammal Center. I am one of those people that got my interest and started really young with animals, probably 5 or 6 years old. What do you want to be? I was like, a veterinarian. I was very fortunate to grow up on the coast, but I didn't know that there were vets for aquatic animals.
Long before us, great travelers were crossing our oceans, risking it all to ensure the future of the next generation.
There's not really a focused track for aquatic animals or too many exotic species in veterinary medicine. Most schools have the option to do out rotations or externships. So I was fortunate to do such a rotation here at the Marine Mammal Center when I was in vet school. And I was able to go to Florida to Mote Marine Lab and work there for a few weeks, where I got my first real exposure to sea turtle medicine and met some manatees and some dolphins. And it was like, these are very different species from the seals and sea lions I'm used to. In wildlife medicine, we get animals in where we don't usually know their history. There'll be like a sea lion that's on a beach, unable to move. And in that case, you're like, well, it could be anything. So we do our very best to figure it out with the tools we have. And if we don't have the tools, we'll see if we can make the tools. It's not easy. They don't like to tell their secrets. So we have to get a little creative with how we learn about their health issues. The first time I cared for a baby harbor seal, it was like, oh my gosh, this thing is so cute. You just want to squeal and go like, oh, come on. But you can't. I know the best thing for that baby seal is for me to stay away, except for when it needs that care, and then let it be with the other harbor seals and be a harbor seal. I think for a lot of folks that work with these animals, the feeling of satisfaction, of happiness, of joy in releasing them back into the wild and seeing them go home is overwhelming sometimes, especially because the other side of that, the severe injury, the mortality is like, those can really weigh on you. I was in Louisiana during the Deepwater Horizon oil spill, and we received hundreds and hundreds of oiled sea turtles. And I did not know what to do with those oiled sea turtles because there was no reference. Nobody had cared for that number of oiled sea turtles. We came up with plans, and some seemed to work well and others maybe not so well. But in the end, we were able to release almost all of those turtles. But some of them were just, you could barely tell it was a turtle under all that oil. And that's a direct human impact. We can fix, some of these animals when those direct impacts are felt. But how do we do better beyond that? So those are the kind of big picture questions. I'm like, I feel unsatisfied with, my contribution there. Like, how can I do better ultimately? My family was supportive of my interest in science. And I think that's a lot of why I was able to get where I am, is because of that support. Even when I failed, even when I didn't get into vet school, it wasn't like, oh, well, do something else. So, that's one of my take homes to folks who are trying to get into this field and make it, and is like, keep trying. It's not perfect. It's not a perfect system. Our desire isn't enough. So keep after it.
In New York, I'm Sabri Ben-Achour with the Marketplace Morning Report.